Hey everybody, we're Tillison Consulting and we love digital marketing, and you're listening to the Inside Digital podcast. This is your one-stop shop to learn and expand your knowledge within the digital marketing space. It's never been more important to have an online presence, and in this show, our experts will talk about SEO, PPC, and everything in between. They'll share their personal insights, experiences, and strategies they're taking advantage of so the rest of us can do the same. Here's today's episode.
Welcome to this episode. I'm Mark Tillison, MD at Tillison Consulting, and today we are talking about the Google Ads Optimisation Score and some of the infuriating things you're asked to do and the millions of alerts I get like every week. So we get a lot of confusion around this, so we thought we'd put a quick show together, and I'm joined by Alex Bardsley, who's our PPC strategist.
Hello.
So let's dive right in. So Alex, we get asked this a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of confusion around this. What is the Google Ads Optimisation Score, and why is it or isn't it important to your campaigns?
Well, that's quite a layered question in reality, because Google Ads Optimisation Score is, in effect, an arbitrary number that Google gives to your campaign to say how well they're doing. But the problem with that number is it doesn't really have any base or relate to anything specific. It says, oh, you can improve it by doing this, you can improve it by doing that. Oh, if you add all of these, it goes up 10%. You're like, oh, that's a big chunk increase. I can go from 80 to 90% effectiveness just by making everything broad. But you can also go to 80 to 90% effectiveness just by telling it you don't want to go to broad. Yeah. So it's complicated in the sense that, yes, it can give you good suggestions and it is worth checking, but in regards to like how important that number by itself is, I'd argue it kind of bears no importance at all, because you can improve it, but 1 week later, the thing you've said no thanks to, it's just going to come back up and your number's going to go down. And raising the number, it helps keep Google reps off your back. That's something I found. If you go into a call with a Google rep, like, oh, it's 100, it's like, there's nothing we can do to improve this. Have a good day. But if you know what you're doing, if you know how everything works, if you know what you want to get, I'd argue it isn't important at all. I'm not saying it's not without merit. Sometimes it can give you some good suggestions. It can give you sort of conflicting negative keywords. So, okay, this keyword isn't serving because this thing conflicts with it. It's negative here. So I think things like that as well. If you're lacking assets, as they're now called, it can let you know that. You can get more ad presence. It can help you drive conversions, drive traffic. But again, if you set everything up right in the first place, there's very few things it can tell you don't already know.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern with it is that I understand what Google's trying to do, right? They're trying to help you, the advertiser, kind of improve the performance of your campaigns. I think the challenge for me is that it's easily misunderstood to the point of it's misleading. So when, I have the Google Ads app on my phone, so, I get notifications for, so many accounts. Your optimization score's dropped. And of course you go, oh my God, it's dropped 6%, something's broken. It isn't at all. Nothing actually changed. Nothing got worse. Nothing, your campaign's not off. Your ad position hasn't dropped. Your click-through rate hasn't changed. Your conversion rate hasn't changed. Nothing has dramatically changed in that way, but you're getting a push notification to go, oh my God, this has changed. And that's misleading.
I think the biggest example of that is the upgrade to Performance Max, because nothing's actually happened to your campaign. Nothing's gotten worse. It's just telling you, okay, change the type of campaign it is. But I like the campaign. I like the way it's working. Oh, but you can increase 12% if you make it a Performance Max.
Yeah.
And if you get a little push saying, oh, my thing's gone 12% worse, oh, if I just make it Performance Max, it'll get better.
Yeah.
But nothing's actually happened.
No, and that 12%, I mean, and this is really kind of frustrating for me as well. So as you said before, that recommendation, it might say, oh, you're at 88% instead of 100%. To make it 100%, so to make it better, that's what it feels like, switch to Performance Max, and then we'll give you 100%. So you're going to change your whole campaign type, and then you go push it into machine learning, and there's a whole disruption and a whole bunch of other things, right? Forget that for the moment. You've just told me, or made me feel like, the whole thing is Now, 100%, it's as optimal as it can be. But equally, if I just said, no, I don't want to do that, it's 100%.
Yeah.
But how can it be 100% if I do it or I don't do it? That doesn't make any sense. That's just misleading. So there are a bunch of things. I think, it's worth talking about some of the specific things. So there are, I don't know how many recommendations there are, but my guess is 30 plus. I don't know if you know how many, but there are a whole bunch of them that would come up. So I think it would be useful just to kind of rattle through some of these, and maybe we just talk about whether, I guess for me is like, does this improve your optimization score or not? Well, enabling just saying yes to everything does and saying no to everything does. So that's a bit of a pointless metric for me. But I think what I would like to focus on is, does this improve the performance of your campaigns from the point of view of A, if my goal is just getting more traffic, B, getting more leads or sales, or C, making it more profitable, more efficient, more effective. So can I increase my profitability, or can I scale it and get more? I think it'll be useful maybe to run through those. So this is a hot topic anyway, but one of the ones that regularly comes up is upgrade to broad match.
Oh, upgrade. Love that word. Upgrade. Make better, improve. It will all work out. I think broad match, it really is goal dependent. If you just want to get as much traffic, as wide an audience as possible, then go for it. Trust that Google is going to match the right things. Also, if you're hot on your negs, again, broad match can work. But if you already know your audience, if you're happy with your keywords, if you really know what you want drilled in on, there's no real point in upgrading.
Yeah. And I think the other challenge with all these recommendations is that the machine doesn't seem to understand the context.
Yeah.
Right. So you're looking at a campaign. You've got, let's say, you've got a £20 a day budget, and it's saying you're limited by budget. You're limited by budget. You could spend £100, and you've only got phrase and exact, and then this is telling you upgrade to broad match. Well, you can't afford all that extra traffic. No. So how is that going to help you?
No.
So I would say, if you're already hitting your budget limit and you're spending all of your budget, then I'd probably dismiss that.
Yeah.
Would you?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you're spending all your budget on terms already work. Mm-hmm. Why would I go, okay, let's target way more stuff on a way more broad method, but let's all the exact same budget, but it doesn't actually tell you how it's going to do it. It's just saying, upgrade to broad and we'll do the rest.
Yeah.
So,
So I think I would consider it if I wasn't limited by budget. If I had more budget than I was spending, or that campaign was spending, then I would consider moving to broad match. I definitely want to be on an automated bidding strategy, or I definitely want to be confident in my conversion tracking data. If you go max clicks and broad, I think you're asking to waste a heap of budget.
Yeah.
So I think I'd be really careful with that. So some other ones on here, add images to your ads and add dynamic images. Helpful?
I think in terms of ad presence, I think it gives you a bit more visibility. It helps you stand out a bit more. But at the same time, you need to have the appropriate images to put on there. So I think it's a helpful suggestion. I don't think it's a make or break suggestion, but I think it's one of those where you would potentially consider it.
Yeah. Okay. So it could increase click-through rate.
Yeah.
And therefore increase clicks.
Exactly.
And increase the amount of money you're spending on clicks, and therefore get me more sales, conversion leads, whatever.
But at the same time, you've got to make sure everything's properly set up on the back end, or you're just kind of getting more clicks, more CTR, but you might not know if it's working or not. So I think a lot of this is just make sure your conversion tracking set up.
I think that's the way Google Ads is going, and I kind of like that it is, that there's a lot of machine learning, but the machine learning depends on data. So if the data is inaccurate, or you plain just don't have any, a lot of this stuff is just not going to work.
Yeah, if Google has nothing to learn from, it's not going to get the results you want.
Correct. Yeah, it's like racing a Formula One car, but not bothering with a timing thing like every lap. It's like, who's fastest? Well, I think I was.
It's Max Verstappen.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so upload customer match lists. Is that an instant dismiss, or does it have some value?
I think it has some value on that one.
Yeah.
I think if you already kind of know your audience and you can give Google a bit more data, that always helps. But again, with this one, you have to know what a customer master list is, what it has, and you have to have that information.
Yeah.
With the problem with, like I think you said, a lot of these kind of lack the context. Google will just throw these out at you without knowing what your aims are, if you have that data or how much data you've got. Looking down the list here, you've got, sometimes it will change you within a day of your campaign starting to, let's target conversions now. But I have no conversions.
Yeah, I haven't got that set up yet.
No.
Yeah, I think the customer match lists, I would say there are a very small percentage of advertisers on Google that have an email list, because that's what that is.
Yeah.
An email list which is anywhere near big enough to be used by Google. So last time I spoke to a Google rep about this, they said that the matching algorithm, so basically, is this person with this email address, are they using Google logged in with that email address? That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
And it's about a 35% hit rate, and you need 1,000 users in that audience that it has matched.
So
that means you need
3,
about 3,000. Like there aren't a huge number of small businesses that have an email list with over 3,000 people in it.
Exactly.
Which means that's, for most people, I think, an instant dismiss. Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it, if you did it, would it actually improve the performance of your campaign? No, you'd have to do something with it. So you'd have to use that for retargeting, remarketing, or to exclude that audience because you were just wanted to acquire new customers, things like that. So I don't think it improves performance, but definitely as a strategy with a specific campaign, I might consider.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair. Use display expansion. This one comes up all the time. Dismiss, or useful or helpful or not?
I say 99% of the time it's a straight up dismiss. It's effectively saying unused budget, we can make a display ad. Okay, but I'm using all my budget. So if I turn it on, what's it going to do?
Exactly. And the thing is, they're different parts of the funnel, right?
Yeah.
So if you're using display, you are creating interest and awareness of your product or your service.
Yeah.
Whilst someone is maybe considering it, maybe they have a problem, maybe you want to advertise, I don't know, let's say you sell holidays or something.
Yeah.
And you want to advertise to an audience before they're searching. That's what display is really good for. Or once they've been on the website, maybe you want to target them across display because they're in a remarketing audience, because they viewed holidays to Portugal or wherever it might be.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So if you've ring-fenced part of your budget to serve these ads to people who are actively looking for things, why would you take part of that budget to then search for people who don't even know what they're looking for
They're
yet?
a different part of the funnel.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would always advocate, that's one strategy, give it a budget and optimize it, and do that for display and test it and measure it, and is it adding value, is it not? And then have a separate budget for search. I don't like the idea of merging those two together, which is also what PMax does.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other show.
Oh, yeah.
So there are some, you mentioned Performance Max campaigns. We just touched on it briefly there. Create a PMax campaign. That's going to improve my optimization score. I don't want to labor this too much. I think there's a whole episode for us to talk about PMax and concerns with it. But I think the one thing that is really important to mention while we're talking about kind of just going, yes, do that, is that if you create a Performance Max campaign and it's similar to or targeting the same kinds of keywords or targeting the same products or whatever it might be, you are competing against yourself, and Performance Max will always win. So that means if you have a search campaign or a Google Shopping campaign which is working well right now, and you switch on a Performance Max campaign, it will suck all of that traffic and any other value from your search campaign or your shopping campaign, which is already doing well. So I think you've got to be really, really careful with that. And there's no way of stopping that happening either. So I'd be really, really careful about kind of ticking that box or saying, yes, do that. For me, how I feel about PMax right now and the data that I've seen from those sorts of campaigns, I'd definitely be saying instant dismiss. I would just get rid of that recommendation. So let's talk about some conversion stuff. So there are some good ones, I think, in here. So get more conversions at a similar CPA by setting a target and staying unconstrained by budget. So CPA, cost per action, cost per acquisition, cost per lead, cost per conversion. How much are we paying for somebody to fill in a contact form?
Yeah.
So what's your feeling about that, Alex? Get more conversions at similar CPA?
I think there's definitely merit in it. If you, well, again, first thing, you need to have enough conversion data to know what your CPA is. If you've only got one or two, that can change suddenly. You get one conversion for a £1 click, and all of a sudden, bang, it improves massively. So I would definitely see the Google recommended 20 kind of conversions for this one. But if you know what your target is, I would definitely set it. And once you set it, then you can begin to kind of monitor and squeeze it down and down and down and down.
Yeah.
So I think it's a definitely scalable opportunity if you can get enough data in.
Yeah.
What I would be wary with this is if you don't have the data, you could be setting something way too high or way too low. If it's way too high, Google is just going to effectively waste budget on stuff you don't need to be wasting budget on, because it can convert for lower. But simultaneously, if you say, okay, I want it way too low, then you're just going to be throttling it so much that Google,
it and it's
Google,
working.
It can't work.
Yeah, and something we said earlier, you have to be confident that your conversion tracking is tracking correctly, it is implemented correctly, and it is recording data. The other thing that we've certainly seen recently is that Google Ads on quite a number of sites is significantly underreporting the volume of sales. So what that means is, let's say, for example, extreme example, let's say that it's underreporting. So it's only reporting like 50% of the sales it's actually generating for whatever reason. Maybe that's to do with cookie consent, could be any number of reasons. But certainly we've seen this hovering around 50, 60, 70% accuracy. So that means if you're saying, well, look, I want my CPA, I want my cost per lead to be £50.
It's effectively only 25.
Actually, it's going to get you 100% more than that. So it's really £25. So you're actually trying to make it work too hard, and that means you're going to limit the performance of the campaign. So if you know that it's underreporting by 35%, then you have to make an adjustment in your target CPA to account that for that 35%. Otherwise, the reality and the data are miles apart, and basically you're going to get far fewer leads because you're not telling Google, or Google is not telling you about the full number of leads that you're getting.
I think it's also worth mentioning this isn't just CPA, but it's also ROAS this applies to. So with the 35%, if your Google Ads is reporting a return on ad spend of, let's say, 500%, in reality, it could be about 800, 850. So this isn't just the CPA strategy where this applies to, it's ROAS. I think it's anything which attributes conversion value.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, anything where it's reporting conversions, number of conversions, and the conversion value, as you said. So return on ad spend, or ROAS, for anybody that doesn't have an e-commerce store. But yeah, absolutely. And we've seen that on e-commerce stores specifically just recently, that it's actually underreporting by about 50%. So when you look at the Google Ads data as a human, you kind of look at it and go, well, it's not really going very well. But in reality, it's over the target. But also, more importantly, the machine learning is learning that it's not achieving your target, so it starts adjusting bids down and starts spending less money. Whereas in reality, it is hitting your target. So I guess the bottom line with that is try and make the conversion tracking as accurate as possible. But if you know, or you are confident that it's underreporting, you have to adjust that target return on ad spend or target CPA to compensate for that underreporting, which is frustrating because we like having the data really. What else do we have on here? So adjust your budgets. This is one of my favorites. Just increase budget willy-nilly.
Because if you increase budget, you get more clicks, you get more conversions. Does it give you any is a small increase? Should we increase 10, 20? Now let's increase by 500%. That'll work.
Yeah.
But you can get this many more clicks again. And the dodgy thing about this is where your code is directly linked up to Google. All you've got to do is press apply, and you're spending 5-6 times more in some cases. Usually it's not that much. Usually it's about double to 3 times more. I mean, if your campaign's working well, if you've got budget to scale, then it's definitely worth considering. But I would rather manually do it, look at what you can spend, look at where you want to achieve before doing this. Going with Google's suggestion is risky, especially where you are spending your own money effectively, aren't you?
Yeah. And there's something else that's important that I think a lot of people overlook with the budget changes. So when you are running an automated bidding strategy of maximise conversions, for example, or maximise conversions at a target CPA that we mentioned earlier. So the problem is if you could spend £1,000 a day, but you're only spending £100 a day, you're only getting 10% of the traffic. So when you are then saying with your bidding strategy, get me as many conversions as you can, your CPA is probably going to be lower. Why? Because it's only getting you the cheapest conversions. Because that's what you've asked it to do, and it does a good job of that. Let's be fair, it does a good job of that. The problem is if you then increase your budget to £200, your CPA might increase because now you're getting slightly more expensive conversions.
Exactly.
Potentially.
When you raise your budget, a common thing I've seen is the cost per click usually goes up.
Yeah, because you can afford to buy more expensive clicks, not because the budget is higher. But if you think like, let's say you had a big jar of sweets, right? Yeah. And some of them are 5p, some are 10p, some are 20p, some are 50p, right? If you go get me as many sweets as possible, it's going to hook out all the 5p sweets.
Yeah.
Right. So if that's your budget, you can afford to buy with your budget all 5p sweets. So your average cost per sweet is 5p. Right. The minute you then go, well, I've bought all the 5p sweets, I increase my budget, I can now, I can afford the 10p sweets. My average cost per sweet is going to go up.
Yeah.
And then, the more budget I get to the 50p sweets, my average cost per sweet is going to go up significantly. And that's what I think a lot of people misunderstand. They just think, right, well, my cost per conversion is £30. If I increase my budget, it's still going to be £30. I'll just get more. Yeah. And sometimes that definitely is true.
Yeah, I think it depends.
But there are other times where you are now competing in more expensive markets and your CPA goes up.
I think it is totally market dependent with that as well.
100%.
If it is a very competitive market with a lot of people searching, then there are going to be a lot of those cheap conversions.
Yeah.
But when it is maybe a bit more niche and there is quite a lot of competition around it, if Google can afford to kind of compete with the bigger boys and go for kind of the more expensive click, it will. Because they might be high, they might have a more chance of converting, they might be higher quality clicks, but you are going to get less of them.
Or more competitive days of the week, or times of the day, or locations, or wherever else that might be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen it definitely before where campaigns are targeting multiple countries. So what happens, so if you give you an extreme example, so let's say that you have a technology product and you are advertising the whole world, right?
Yeah.
Get me as many conversions as you can for my budget. The easiest way to do that is get the cheapest clicks. Where are the cheapest clicks? They're going to be in economies that are different from elsewhere. So if you then go UK, USA, my average cost per click is £2. In India and Pakistan, it's 13p. Well, hang on a minute. I can pay 13p a click there. Where's all my budget going? It's all going in Pakistan and India. Why am I getting rubbish quality leads that don't convert? Because you told Google to get you as many conversions as it could. So therefore, the cheapest conversions and the cheapest conversions are in those countries where they might be really valuable, but the chances are they won't be as valuable to you because the economies don't support what you charge for your product or service. Yeah. So that's what happens. And then you increase your budget and it suddenly goes, well, I've bought everything what I could get from India and Pakistan. So now what I'm going to do is get you some clicks from Africa or, I don't know, maybe Scandinavia or maybe a few from the UK and the USA. And suddenly your conversion rate still stays the same. It's a good landing page, right keywords, everything's working quite well. But your cost per conversion average now went up because these conversions are more expensive than the ones you were buying before. Yeah. So you can get a huge skew in performance in some cases just by increasing your budget. It will get you more, but it's going to get things that are more expensive quite often. So that for me, I think I've seen people blindsided by that so many times. So moving on, but talking about staying on the same topic. So a bit more efficiently with maximise conversions. That's another thing that comes up in the optimization score recommendations.
Yeah.
Is that a insta dismiss or?
I think it depends where you are in your campaign and what your objectives are. Again, this is one I've seen come up. I was talking to a client recently and then they set up their campaign probably 5-6 days previous and it was already telling them to maximize conversions. They only had like 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. So again, it goes back to, does Google have the data to make an informed decision to actually go with this? Mm. If you want to get conversion, if you want to get lead forms, if you want to get e-commerce sales, then if you do have enough, probably around 15 to 20, then I definitely consider doing it. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have that data, or you just want to get as much traffic as possible, or you're again at a very early stage of the campaign where it is learning, then I would say it's an instant dismiss.
Yeah. So the machine learning is learning from the conversion data it has been provided.
Yes.
So the usual cycle would be start with maximize clicks, just get me a bunch of traffic, make sure my conversion tracking is working, and it's reporting correctly, and that I'm actually getting conversions. Then once I've got how many conversions would I need to then switch to max conversions?
I'd say between 15 to 20. I mean, 20 would be the ideal, but I've seen it work on as low as 15. In some cases, I've seen it as low as 10, to be honest. I think it depends on what sort of conversion it is.
Yeah.
If it is quite a high-end, high-value conversion, naturally you are not going to get as many.
Yeah. Google's recommendation is like 15 to 30 in a month, I think.
15 to 20 in a month. I usually hear 20.
Yeah.
Whenever I speak to a rep or someone who works with Google, they kind of 20 is their blanket term they use. But I think as low as 15 it can work. If you can get 30, that's great.
And the more data you have, the more it can learn. And the more quickly you get the data, the more it learns.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is important as well. So again, this is kind of context. So Google's kind of saying, yeah, use the machine learning, use the automated bid strategies, and they're great when you have a lot of conversion data. And they're really amazing when you're getting 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 conversions a day. When you're getting 5, 6, 7, 800 conversions a month, or 2,000 or 3,000, the machine has a ton of data to work from, a ton of data to learn, and it optimizes more quickly. When you are a small business running a Google Ads campaign for £300 a month, and you're getting 4 or 5 conversions, the machine learning is nowhere near as accurate. It cannot learn from that data, and it doesn't appear to learn particularly well from all the other competitors that are doing the same thing as you. So it learns from your clicks, the irrelevant ones that you waste your budget on, or doesn't in some cases. So a lot of this stuff, I think, really works amazingly well at scale. And we have loads of campaigns that work fantastically well at scale. These techniques and strategies and the machine learning does not work anywhere near as well when you're talking about small campaigns.
No.
And that's not clear within Google Ads at all.
It's not. And it doesn't matter what size of campaign you are, the recommendations are the same.
Yes.
Whether you're spending £5 a day, £10 a day, or £100 or £200, whether you've got 1 conversion, 2 conversions, or 1,000 conversions, you will be getting the same sort of recommendations. It will tell you to go to maximize conversion, but it doesn't really give you, like I said, the context of data that you need if you are uninformed, if you are new to Google Ads, or if you have just started.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's that's kind of frustrating. It's kind of like the calls that you get from Google Rep, and I'll get calls from a Google Rep on one account, and I get the same agenda, the same recommendations a lot of the times, and it's like, hang on a minute, these recommendations can't be the same for every single project, not every single client, every single website, because they're different. They have different goals, they have different objectives. So, and I think this kind of is a method where Google can kind of push what it wants people to do. That is, a lot of times it feels like it's in the best interest of Google, not in the best interest of the advertiser, which I think is unfair. Which brings me on to kind of another question, really, which is a big one, which is about the optimization score versus the quality score. So I should explain the quality score probably for those that may not understand it. So it's a score out of 10, particularly on search, Google Shopping, things like that, where the score is based on the relevance of your ad to the search term and keyword maybe you're bidding on, but also the landing page relevance to that as well. So effectively, you have to remember the search engine's job is to provide relevant results to a searcher. So are we doing a good job of that as an advertiser? So if you increase quality score in a campaign, an ad group, or for a keyword, your ad rank can increase and your cost per click can come down, which is good news if you're an advertiser, right? If I can save 10, 15% on a click by having a more relevant ad, then of course I want cheaper clicks, but I can do that by optimizing quality score. So does the optimization score relate to the quality score?
In a very minor way it can. So you've of course got the improve your responsive search ads. which might increase the quality score if it gives you appropriate headlines.
Mhm.
But the big thing, and I think we talked about this earlier, which is missing, is there is nothing about the landing page. And in a lot of cases, and for a lot of people, because what they want are conversions, what they want are leads, what they want are sales, the thing that sells is the landing page. If you show someone the best ad in the world, or if you show someone the best product image in the world, if they click on it, if your landing page is awful, if it's missing things, if your website doesn't work, if it's slow to load, you're not going to get that conversion. And that's the big thing that's missing. No matter how bad the landing page is, no matter how dodgy the website is, you will not get any recommendations about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could do all these changes. You could increase your budget. You could go to broad match. All these changes will end up probably spending more money, kind of costing you more out of your pocket, kind of spending more on Google Ads, where the one thing that is stopping you from succeeding is not mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah. And Google clearly has some of that data. So that's really frustrating, right?
It has a numerical 1 to 10 system on how relevant or how well your the landing page experience actually gives it a value. So it knows what it is, it knows what it's doing, it knows what it's looking for.
It's not in the optimization score.
No. Probably the most important thing about quality score is not on the optimization score.
Yeah. So you're I don't know, let's say you're bidding on cricket bats.
Yeah.
Right. And for some reason, maybe someone didn't know, or maybe something's been screwed up. But let's say your ad then was about cricket bats, but it was sending people who clicked off to a page that sold rugby boots.
Yeah.
Right. The optimization score doesn't go, hang on a minute, this isn't very optimal. Like, you should do this and improve. Like, to me, that's way more important than increase your budget.
Yeah.
That's way, way more important. So why is that not included? That's crazy. But surely from Google's point of view, what you want us to do is spend more money. We want to spend more money when we're earning more money. We're getting a better return on it. That landing page being more relevant to the search term is going to help that conversion rate, and therefore the return that I'm getting, way, way more than increase my budget or add location assets or add images to your ads. That's going to have a far greater impact, but it's not included in it, which is, that's just mad to me.
Yeah.
So that would improve my quality score because my landing page is now relevant to my keyword, and my ad is now relevant to my keyword that I'm bidding on as well. So my quality score would improve, but the optimization score has no relation to the quality score, no direct relationship.
No, there is no direct link. There are small things on Opti score which you can do, essentially to increase quality score, but it doesn't say about quality score anywhere.
Yeah.
They are kind of two, again, separate entities which should be linked.
Yeah.
Which I'd argue need to be linked.
Yeah.
But for some reason they're not linked.
No. So I think I would like to see some context in the optimization score recommendations, like to actually say the outcome of this thing is going to do this.
Yeah.
So increase your budget. What's this going to do? Is this going to get me more sales? Is it going to be better traffic? Is this going to get me more of the same traffic, or not? You know, if I add images to my ads, is that going to increase my conversion rate?
Yeah.
No, probably not. It's going to increase my click-through rate. It doesn't mean to say I'm going to convert better.
But the only thing I've seen relatively near that is it usually does say increase conversions by this amount by using this budget or by using this bid strategy. But it's always quite a broad sort of statement.
Yeah.
Again, and of course with accounts of multiple conversion actions, which I have seen, kind of phone calls, lead forms, emails, I've seen them previously. It doesn't specify which one it will increase, just kind of a general.
Yeah.
I think that's another important thing, which is probably for another podcast, just about setting up your conversion actions, making sure the relevant ones are tracking as a primary, tracking as a secondary job. That's a whole different conversation for a whole different day.
Yeah. And I've seen, you know, we've talked about this before, but I've seen, you know, I think as an advertiser, if you are not kind of experienced with Google Ads, then you go through and you set up your bid strategy and it says maximize conversion. So you go, what's a conversion? Oh, okay, someone filling my contact form or someone calling me. Oh, well, I definitely want that then. So you go, yes, maximize conversions, please. And you set your campaign up and you give it a budget and off it goes.
Yeah.
But you haven't actually set up conversion tracking. So it's like, well, of course I would want that as an advertiser, but it isn't necessarily maybe at the right time in the right place in that sequence. or maybe it's not reinforced enough, or maybe people just don't read the numerous emails, or they just want to get the campaign live. So they're just hoping and expecting Google understands what a conversion is, and they don't realize that you have to set the tracking up to be able to track this converted or this did not. Or the flip side of that is I've seen it implemented plenty of times by people where the conversion tracking is firing on like every page on the website. Like every single click converts.
Oh, it's like, I've got
and then the data's a mess,
cost
right?
per conversion of 10p because from 100 clicks, I've got 98 conversions. Oh my, this is so successful.
Yeah,
but someone
but I haven't got any emails in my inbox in my lead form.
Because your conversion action is page view.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there were 3 things on optimization score that you would kind of go, you should pay attention to those. Default, not for everybody, every campaign is different. So there are 3 that you would say definitely pay attention to that would improve the performance of campaigns. And when I say improve performance, I mean for an advertiser getting better value. Which 3 would you say definitely pay attention to? And which 3 would you just say insta dismiss, don't even worry about it?
Okay, so to pay attention to, I think just to kind of put it all under one umbrella, I think anything related to the keywords you're using is not necessarily implemented immediately, but I think they're all worth looking at. Because of course it can give you new keyword suggestions, which again, it could give you 20 and 19 could be absolute rubbish. There might be one in there which you just missed or you just didn't see, or it could be, oh, that's a good idea, we could try that. As well as kind of with the conflicting negative keywords, it effectively tells you, and this is actually one which, in my opinion, is one of the best. It basically says, oh, this isn't serving because you negated this. Okay, so then you can either choose, okay, that keyword isn't really worth it, so we can just get rid of it, or you need to get rid of this neg, I didn't realize I had that keyword. So I think anything keyword related is always worth checking, just because, again, it can directly influence the performance of your campaigns. If you find a new keyword that performs well, you could get a lot more clicks, more conversions. If the traffic's behind it as well, if your conflicting negative keyword is stopping one of your key keywords you want to target from showing, then again, that can help improve performance. And again, another umbrella one I'd definitely like to see, like to check, is anything about assets. I mean, these things I think they are very important. They increase visibility, they give the user more options, more selection. If your ad's not necessarily directed at them, or they don't, iffy, they see a site link for something directly, like, okay, go click on that, and that's a click. That's someone on your site.
Things
and that's
like
convert.
site links, images, any
call outs,
extensions.
Anything that just gives your ad more visibility, gives them more to click on, more to look at, and that's why you take up more space. You can, especially on a mobile device, you can take up the whole first bit of the page. You can dominate the page if you make sure you get all of these sorted out.
Anything you would insta dismiss as a kind of default position?
Display expansions. If I wanted to show display ads, I'd set up a display campaign. I'd actually put budget towards that. I'd target those people in that funnel. I wouldn't try and take away from my search campaign by targeting a completely different set of people than I'm really looking at there. Other ones. I mean, for me, I don't know if it's an instant dismiss, but just, instant dismiss, PMAX. Definitely. If I set up a search campaign, if I set up a shopping campaign, it's because I want to specifically target those ads. I want to know where my budget is going. I want to know who I'm targeting. I want to know what products are doing well. I want to know what keywords, what headlines are performing. So why would I want to take that information away from me by kind of going a bit for a massive broad PMAX? So I'd always instantly dismiss them. If you want to set up a PMAX campaign, set up a PMAX campaign. Then set up a search campaign, and that Google then convince you, PMAX is the way to go. You set up a search campaign for a reason. So if a shopping campaign for a reason, don't get drawn off the path. Again, PMAX campaigns, can they work? Yes. But set up your performance math campaign by itself, targeting a completely separate audience to what you're already targeting, so you're not bidding against yourself and stopping other campaigns from showing. Then kind of dilute the whole process. And I, in my personal experience, I would throw broad match in there, just because when I want to set up a campaign, I want to know who I'm targeting. I want to kind of
you're more control.
More control. I'm a control freak. What can I say?
More control, more visibility. I would totally agree with you on that. I think the key thing for me with the optimization score, so one is your campaign is not going to perform any better or worse by dismissing every single one of those recommendations. No. And it's not necessarily going to perform better or worse by implementing every single thing. So you're not suddenly going to get cheaper conversions by implementing probably any of these things.
No.
So so I would be really careful about your expectations of what this does, and it is a bit misleading, as we said right at the beginning of the show. And I think the other thing is that you have to be absolutely focused on what your goal is for your campaign. So you need to decide, do I want to make this more effective, more efficient? Do I want to get more for the budget I am spending? So do I want to save fuel, right? Do I want to get more for my budget? Or am I doing really, really well and I want to scale? So you have to decide which one of those things is the most important thing for you right now, and look at each of these things in that context. So if it's going really well and you're looking to scale, then when it says increase your budget, right? Maybe not loads, be careful about it. But when it says get more conversions at a similar CPA, by setting a target CPA, that's a good move. I like that move, that's great, right? So there are things in there where you can scale it. If you're looking to optimize performance, then increasing your budget is not going to do that. So I would be really clear when you look at those. Number one, you can just ignore them. Your campaign performance is not going to go down, but you will get nagged going, oh, it's dropped another 12%, oh, it's dropped 10%, and it will nag you, right? And then the Google rep might call you. But you don't have to do these things to increase the performance. Nothing will change in your campaigns. The performance will not change. It won't get better. It won't get worse if you just ignore them. No. But that is what it feels like. Yeah. But I would say definitely be clear about what your goal and what your objectives are, and consider each of these recommendations in that context. And anything that doesn't support what you're trying to do, just dismiss it. It will come back. Yeah. It's going to come back again and go, increase your budget. Don't worry about it. It will keep coming back.
Dismissing it once is not dismissing it forever. It'll usually be back in the next week or so.
Yeah. So I think we should wrap that up there. Really interesting conversation about optimization score in Google Ads. And I hope everyone's learned quite a lot, and you'll save some budget by missteps by kind of blindly following the recommendations that Google makes.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Inside Digital Podcast. Make sure to visit our website at tillison.co.uk, where you can read more about the topics discussed in this show and much more. If you're looking to get started or to continue your digital marketing journey, we can help. Just reach out to one of our experts through our website. We'd love to hear if you found value in this show. Please leave a review and be sure to tune in for our next episode.